Yeah, because I remember we did it in the summer because that's when I did the Barbie look with the green and the swimsuit. And the reason why I did that because it was hot. And that was the same time around Pride when I did Twitch Rivals, right? Yeah, that was Twitch Pride Rivals. Wow, that's fucking crazy. Right? That has to be right. This is the right save file. I hope it's the same file. Let's go to my channel on YouTube. NemesisLacroix, Breath of the Wild. $10 months ago. Oh my god, bitch. It was my old background too. It's been that long. Oh my god. And my titty bib. That's when I did the Great Fairy and I had the titty bib. Oh, wow. Oh, okay, wow. So we're back. After 10 months, we're back. Hello. "10 months, and we are finally gonna beat this." No, it's true, it's true. Everybody in the comment section kept clocking me saying, Nem, you beat the DLC, but you didn't beat the main story. And what I say to that is, I'm sorry, I guess I'm a flop. I just didn't realize, I thought doing the DLC was beating the game, because that boss that is like super hard. Well, why am I in this outfit? I need a real outfit. Oh. I don't think we need all those. Oh, let's go to the... Let's unlock the dead horse fairy lady. I forgot you can get her. Let's go find her. She's fierce. I mean, you literally, like, when you finish the main story too, you just... It resets to the point before you didn't finish the story. So... It's like... Doesn't matter. Why is my horse over here? Oh, and did you pay $70 for it? God, I can't believe we're all just like accepting the fact that we're paying $70 for a game. We're just like, yeah. Yeah. I don't remember. Is it here? Can't remember where it's at. Me too. That was my biggest disappointment from this, is that when you finish the game, it's like you go back to where you were before you beat the thing. It's like, I kind of hated that. Because post-game is the funnest part of some Zelda games, like Wind Waker. Like, after you beat Ganon, you get to, like, roam around all the islands and do stuff after you beat the game. Well, not really. It was an ask for my birthday. Oh, that's right. It's on your birthday. It comes out literally tomorrow on your birthday. Seeing one of your mates today. Oh, y'all gonna be fucking? I bought it too. It's so stupid because it was literally just gonna be... Oh. You're gonna use a what? I can't take when you say mate seriously, because mate just sounds like fucking buddies. Me and my mate masturbate. Sorry. Have a good time. And when I go here, this place is kind of scary, not gonna lie. So like when we play Tears of the Kingdom, are we literally just gonna have the same exact map? I kind of think that's kind of bugger. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. What sexy outfit? I mean, I can take off his clothes. Did you see that one post? That one post that was like, why do we have to start with 0 HP and stuff if we already progressed in Breath of the Wild 1? Like, what a stupid question. You're dumb. Because if we started with all these hearts and stamina, like, the game would be crazy overpowered. I wonder if they'll keep the cycle in. Like this cycle, I wonder if they'll keep it in. Me when I drive. Runs away. Hi, Fisher. Fisher, thank you for subscribing at tier 3. I love you. Fisher, I know we say it like every time we see each other, but I need to come to Chicago soon. Like, I was talking to Onyx and Zane for the pod, and I miss just like going to the club and like just serving a look and hanging out at the club and getting drunk and wasted and just like doing stupid shit. Y'all really streamed the pod. The pod this week was so fun because we spent like 30 minutes just talking about like baby drags. It was so fun.
Mifa's grace is ready.
I know the soundboard sounds. It was so good. I'm editing the new episode as well. Am I gonna make this? Take a shot if you think I'll make this. I don't think I make this. Oh no, we got it. We got it. We're fine. We're good. Everything's fine. Oh. Oh. It's so scary. Can I spawn my motorcycle here? Do you mind? I literally can. That's actually hilarious. Hold on. Hey, guys. Drives away. Can't catch me, bitch. I'm out. Watch this. Watch this loser. Haha. Haha. Can't catch me. Can't catch me. Can't catch me. Can't catch me. Oh. Hi. Oh. Oh, they got gagged. I want to see some titties. Thank you. That's good eating. Can't you cheat this by using Rivali's Gale? I'm like 99% positive you can. But you can literally cheat out of this so many ways. Why do I hear ushy gushy noises? Who's fapping? I don't even need Google. I'm gonna be a wizard and figure it out by myself. Oh, I'm touching the Kirby. Hey guys. Every time I say hey guys, I think of Octavia Spencer in that Mama movie. Hey guys. Oh. Oh. Can't keep my hands to myself. Wait, please stop, please. Not my best idea, but it worked. Do I even have the Master Sword? Oh, I do. Hey, guys. First try. What is this? Oh, that's it. Freebie. Oh, that reaction meme. Oh, I wonder what they're gonna do in the new game, because like we're not gonna have these things, right? They can't have trials again, right? Right. And like, what are they gonna do for the Koroks? They're not gonna do 700 Koroks again, 900 or whatever it was. Girl, so what is it? What's it gonna be? That was not the sound I wanted to use. I wanted to use this one. That's not the one I wanted to use either. I haven't used the soundboard in like months. It's collecting dust. Hey, losers. Wait. You don't think. Why not? Giggles. You can't outdo the doer. Oh. Oh my. And when I do this, this is gonna be the most epic move ever. You guys, I did it. You guys, trust the process. Oh, fuck me in the ass. Wait, I gagged him though. Wait, he's gagged. Oh shit. No, because he's gagged. No, he's gagged. Is he dead? Girl, please. Give up. You guys like my heart? Have a heart, but don't die, 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 die. Eat that meat. I know Link loves some meat. I want to drive off the cliff. What happens? Wait, what's over there? Can I use a telescope? What is that? Wait, you can actually go down there? What? No way. Can I use a telescope? Is that allowed? Do we have a telescope? Oh, I can. Wait a damn minute. That is not possible. Okay, now I'm curious. Hey, guys. You can't look, there's enemies. What? Wait, is this land? Okay, I'm gagged. Me discovering things in this game as it's on its last legs when Tears of the Kingdom's coming out tomorrow. I'm like, wow. A new finding. What the fuck? Can you please all get a job? You have chapped lips and you're jobless. So what's that? Oh, hey. Oh my God, I do that all the time. I am so sorry. What else can we discover? Should we fight a Lynel? Oh, he's chilly. Shake it off. It's okay. I gotta fill up my car. Hold on. Fill it up with carrots. We're all good. See? There's a Lynel, I think, right here. He's gonna be so gagged. What was that? Hello? The wildlife here is lovely. Oh! 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 Oh, wow. I didn't expect it to be a cliff. Link, please. You're literally fine. Yeah, you're not cold because you're wearing no pants, no shoes, no socks. But he has a hat on, guys. He's fine. Okay, so I saw on TikTok, if you go up to a Lynel and you don't engage with him directly, he won't be hostile. See? Hi. What's that noise? See, he's chilling. Can we give him a handshake? I'll be on my way. Okay. No, it's okay. Bro, it's okay. We're playing tag. We're friends. He's so gagged right now. He's like, why can't I catch up? Like, he's so gagged. Worth.
It is my pleasure.
It is my pleasure. I had my shield up, dog. What the fuck? Oh shit, I think I'm dead, y'all. Oh! We eat here. Oh, we have a lot of bananas. We eat these, we eat these, we eat. Ow! Oh wait, he's so gagged. Oh! He's so gagged. Oh! Oh! Close, close. Why am I so far away? That is so rotten. Come over here. Same, me too. I thought I was gonna get it with that witch time. Let's do I have an attack bonus? Wait, no, you can't do that. You can't bring that over here. Guys, I dodged it. Oh my god. Oh, he doesn't give an F. Okay, we run here, we run here. We equip this here. have never seen a character do that. What was that? What was that? And you know what was that? Oh, he's eating that meat. Please don't. Oh my god! Oh my god. I got it. I did it. Whew. That was sickening. And I ate that. No, because I ate that. No, because I ate that. And now we go on our way after murdering an innocent thing. Hi, Grizzly. Hi, Purple. Yeah, anybody just joining, we will be playing Tears of a Kingdom tomorrow night at 12 o'clock. Oh. There's another Lynel? Okay. Can't you just do this? Oh. They got me, gal. Oh, I found diamonds. Minecraft. Oh shit. Oh my god, there's a lot of calamity. Oh, dodged. Oh man. Let me in, please. What is that noise? Okay, whatever. I like when you come to these trials, it gives like the ambient music kind of sounds like Silent Trials and the Forgotten Woods. Gives like scary music, which is cute. How did I miss that? Hello?
Urbosa's Fury is ready.
Work, Diva. What's that? What? Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh. Oh, okay, wow. Oh, gathered me. That wasn't very nice. I don't know what. Oh, it was fell. I don't know where to. Oh my god, the hiccups are taking over. I'm gonna die. I don't know where to go. I'm a little lost. I think you have to go somewhere where we just were. Why is your Link shoeless? I don't know, actually. I wanted his clothes to be off, but he needs some form of... I guess, clothing. Too much Star Rail. Yeah, it's the clarification of Link. The way her design would have been perfect if she had shoes on. Like, I'm fully serious. She should have worn, like, she should have worn, like, those slippers. Like, you know those, like, cute little socks that are, like, slippers? With, like, the pom-poms on the sides? She should have worn those. Or they should have designed her with those. Link moaning ASMR.
Urbosa's fury is ready.
Link part of the pit crew, they don't got shoes. So true. But also, like, wouldn't it be kind of weird if the pit crew was wearing shoes? Just underwear and shoes. Like, hypothetically, they're supposed to be like... I don't know, actually.
Rivali's Gale is now ready.
That one time that guy was wearing, like, a long sleeve shirt, like some underwear and boots. I was like, what is this attire? Okay, I love hearing him moan in my ear, but please stop. Shoe update. When they give everybody customizable shoes. I can't believe I hit 300 on the standard banner. That's fucking crazy. Glad I got Himiko though. I'm excited. Why is there so much calamity? I'm scared. Also, I feel like if they gave the pit crew shoes, they would give them like flip-flops. Like they wouldn't give them like... they wouldn't put them in full-ass shoes. So I don't think it would make much of a difference. They talk about that a lot on Alaska and Willem's podcast. Gay sandals, perhaps. Honestly, that might be the move. I did it! Because they are gay. Actually, I don't think they are. I don't think some of the pit crew is gay. I don't think Bryce is queer. I think so too. He had a stream. He used to stream on Twitch. I went into his Twitch chat once and he said, "Hi, Nemesis. Nemesis from Resident Evil, perhaps?" I have the clip. It's so funny. They had one on España, I think, which was fierce. And they also had more body types than just like jacked up like men's, which was nice. Yeah, I love that series. I actually just resubscribed to WoW Plus to watch it, the new one, but I'm not really gagged right now, so. That guy on the panel for España is hot, but everybody says he's hot, and I'm like, I am part of the everybody that says he's hot. Where's the last? Oh, the last one's right here. I don't know why I'm on this bizarre quest to do this right now, but I am, so. As a unit? No, literally. We love our... I would love to see a trans man on the picker, though. Trans men are like the sexiest men alive. I'm so sorry. I think literally through... I want to say like the last... like 5 or 6 years, the people I've dated or been interested in have been trans men, but that's just because like T4T is so like safe, and also it's just like, I don't know, something about trans men, they're just so fine. Not that I'm like sexualizing trans men, but God, just like regular men are just, they just don't get it. Like, especially like if you're a trans woman trying to just date like a guy, they just don't get it. They just don't get it. They're stupid. They have stupid man horny brain, and well, trans men do too, probably more than ever, because you know, they get their little shot and they go crazy, but a stupid straight guy brain is the worst. I'm like digging myself a hole here. I feel like I'm like talking in circles, but like if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. Okay, we're going the right way.
Needless grace is ready.
Am I even supposed to go this way? He was so gagged. It's usually after that special day y'all get the shot and you get the horny juice. That's the day you guys lose your just everything goes wild. Y'all get crazy. That's just a sword. I thought it was an eye. That's what I get when I don't wear my glasses. Oh. Please. I'm actually gonna see a doctor soon, so hopefully I get to start the day or the day after. Not men shots, but the estrogen juice. I'm a little worried about when the boobies start coming through and how they start to hurt. A little worried about that, but also like I want tits so bad it's like unbearable. Hi, Crimson. I'm almost to the point that I want to start a GoFundMe to like start funding for like FFS and stuff like that, but like I don't know. I've done so many GoFundMes over the years for like moving and stuff. I feel like bad about it. Like I definitely do want to get like all the surgeries and stuff. Antibiotics? That is the best fucking thing I've ever heard. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for saying that, because I'm stealing that. Hi, Froz, and hi, Jenny. Refresh for Tears of a Kingdom. Also, damn mama. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So the reason why we're doing this right now is because some people have taken note of my playthrough of Breath of the Wild from last summer, and they go, hey Nem, why did you never beat the game? And I was like, guys, I beat the DLC boss. Like, that's beating the game, is it not? And they were like, girl, you never fought Ganon, you didn't beat the game. So today is that day. We are going to close that chapter from last summer up, and we will start Tears of a Kingdom tomorrow. If you want to see me play Tears of a Kingdom, we will be playing tomorrow at 12 o'clock at night, because it is release day. Well, release night, but amen. Where is that horse like fairy that like is the death horse fairy? Like I want to find her before we end. I'm not ending anytime soon, but I'm just saying. Death horse great fairy location Breath of the Wild. To find the horse god. Bottom left of Central Hyrule? Really? Central Hyrule? No, wait, it's down here. I see it. It's right here. I have so many things on my map. Hold on, let me clear this. Ooh. I mean, you were close. Like, this is where you were guessing, and this is where it is. I thought it was up here at the top right. I was way off. But that's like the Death Lake. There's like a lake that's in the shape of a skull. Right here? Where is it? Did I seriously lose it? Where the fuck is it? Oh, it's right here. I thought it was here. You need assistance since the US sucks. Why not? It also sucks because, like, well, thankfully, my mom actually and I had a really deep conversation. We've been talking about selling the house that we're living in because it's like the house that we all grew up in, and since it's like old and bad, we've been talking about selling it for years now. And thankfully, she's finally gonna get a realtor to like look at the house and approve the house to put it on the market. So I'm really praying that me and my sister can get a place, like buy a condo with the money they get from this house, because the money for this house, no shade, we're probably gonna get $1 million off of it just because the location of the house, because it's a beach house. So I am praying we get to move with the money, because it's literally a beach house, and beach houses on the market go for a lot of money, girl. But like, we'd also have to find a place for my stepmother, my stepmom, nope, my stepdad, that's handicap accessible, and then my mother. But they want to move to like North Carolina. I'm like, girl, I'm not moving there. Me and Jess don't want to move there. We're like, we want to stay either East Coast or we want to go to like somewhere fun. And if we have a guest room, then it's the tea. Hello, house music. Yeah, we're kind of nervous, but like, I'm confident. I'm confident because we refurbished the basement, like where I'm living right now, that I'm 100% certain we could get more money off of it because it's like updated. Because back in the day before we fixed it up, it was like not even livable, but now it's like modern and like pretty-ish, like the bedroom in my office. So that's like that's 2 extra bedrooms, like boots. So I'm pretty confident. It is an old house, but like still, it probably goes for a lot of money. So, but that's the first time I've heard my mom like talk about like selling the house. But like she was like, it's getting way too expensive to live here. There's too many people living in the house. It's like the house is old. And I'm like, yeah, totally. Just like give me and your daughter a cut. Give your kids a cut and we'll run off somewhere. But like, since she said that, I'm probably not gonna move out until like that happens, and then like help my family move, and then me and my sister will hopefully move, which will hopefully be nice. And then I can put a chunk of that money she gives me from selling this place into T-girl surgeries. Hi, Mac. I know, I'm hoping. Well, that's the reason why I moved home originally too, is that like, girl, please. Eventually me and my sister want to get somewhere to live together. Even if she is kind of being a brat right now. She was mad at me and my mom for like a couple of days and wouldn't tell us why, and we were like, okay. But she texted me this morning, I guess. I love the design of this character. So fierce. Wait, her name's Melania? I am Melania, Blade of Makila. She says I jest. That's funny. I love the way this fountain looks like. It's like gothy. When she kills me. Hey. I open the new one. They add more of these poses he can do. What is it? I forgot how to do it. Fuck. At the fairy fountain, check. I know, same. I'm so excited. Well, we're playing it tomorrow night, Mac. It comes out tomorrow night. Okay, so we did that. We can do we can save that dragon. I forgot the dragon that's unfortunately in danger, the blue one. I think it's on this mountain. I forgot where it's at. Mount Lanaru. Where is that? Oh, over here. There's some things we haven't done, which is nice. Then we can beat the game and then we'll call it a wrap and I'll see y'all tomorrow. But that's not for a couple more hours. I got some time in me. I can't believe it's coming out tomorrow. That's fucking crazy. I'm so excited. Real. Yeah, I'm literally traveling to Australia next month and like spending $100 on a video game. I'm like, girl, please. Hello? Oh.
Rivali's Gale is now ready.
Rivali's Gale is now ready. I don't know what looks to serve. We gotta pull out some looks for Tears of a Kingdom. I mean, I would. I just hate like putting up my blue screen and like it's kind of like glitchy. Especially because like sometimes I want to do like blue and green and I only have a blue screen or a green screen, which is annoying because like sometimes green has blue undertones, which is so aggravating for a blue screen and a green screen. Are you trying to 100% Breath of the Wild? No. We're just doing some fun stuff before we bid adieu to this game for tomorrow. I don't think I've ever been able to 100% it because the Crocs, which sucks, but... I feel so bad. This is so sad. I know, same. I haven't finished Engage either. I'm pretty close to the end of Engage though, so it's fine. But there's also DLC that came out, but like, I'll play that at my own pace. I'll probably play that while I'm in Australia, honestly, because like, I'm not gonna have a PC to play all the games that I want to. I am gonna try to rent a laptop though, which will be hopefully stunty. And hopefully I'll be able to stream, but it depends on Marshall's internet. I'm gonna be staying in Adelaide, but we're gonna be traveling to Sydney, hopefully. And I wanna go to Melbourne too. I would have to say the same, Curtis. I think the cast of characters is the best, but the story wasn't as engaging, ironically enough. I think it's the best cast of characters, but the story in Three Houses is the best, I think. Well, because there also wasn't like a lot of cliffhangers for... like the other games usually have. Oh no, where are you going? No, no, no. No, no, stay put. What are you doing? Don't do all that, Ganj. Oh shit. Isn't there supposed to be wind currents when you go near it? Where are my wind currents? Fuck! I don't see any updrafts. I don't see any up dog here. There's one. Why is it locked? Got you so good, House Music. You were gagged. You just got so gagged. Okay, literally fuck yourself. I'm trying to help you out here, bro.
Rivali's Gale is now ready.
Oh, that's right. It goes to another location. I forgot. And when I do this, oh, gagged. Dang it, I thought I could snipe it and hope it would get done. Can I like just get on your back? I'm being pushed away. Hi. Oh! Well, that was just rude. That was actually just so fucking rude. Okay. I'm sensing some transphobia from this dragon. Just assaulting me. I knew I was gonna have no ammo. I knew it. I like literally knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Oh, you're done. Yup. Now you're pretty. I hope they have new stuff like this in the new one. Like cool dragons and stuff. Like, it's hard for me to like understand what is gonna be new and recycled in the new game. You know what I mean? Good night, Denny. Thanks for hanging. Just kidding, I would never do that. Please don't think I would do that. I would never. Oh, it actually wants me to. Goodbye. Oh! Ow! It just hit me in the face. That literally hit the camera. Damn. Now pre. Oh. Let me in. Oh. Well, what if I want to pawn it off for money? Could you imagine? Don't drop that. Dun, dun, dun. Oh. Hey guys. Hello? Okay. Womp womp. Womp womp. Womp womp. Womp womp. Gasp, I've never seen this before. I will say, when I did play the original, I did get all the shrines and all the DLC and everything. I got everything except for the Korok, so I've definitely 100%ed it. Technically, if you know, you know. Girl, who gives a fuck? I don't need that. Keep it, Grandma. You know what's OP? These nuts. Gag you a bit for sure. Girl. Why did Onyx like a tweet of us from 2020? Oh, wow. 40 months. How many babies is that? I think like 13. Thanks, Cartice. I think you're like tied with my sister for longest subscription and then Fisher. 24 missed calls from Harvard. Real. Oh. No, I want stamina, please. I almost have the full wheel. The wheels on the bus go round and round. What's another little fun thing we can do before we wrap up? Wrap yo dick. That's a Drag Race reference. It's a Drag Race reference. It's also, yeah, exactly. Important advice. Hello, Koroks. I am here. The FPS in this area was always suspicious to me. I'm like, why is it? Ah! Oh, it's just my hair. I got scared by my hair hitting my back. I'm pregnant right now. I'm butt pregnant like Carl Weezer. Mother of three. I want a cat so bad. But I'm hopefully when we do move, I can get a kitty. I would cry. I want to get a black cat so bad. Like I just want like, what was that show? Oh my god. Like Binks from, oh my god. Witch, something witch. Sabrina, the teenage witch. No, stop. I was gonna say that. I was gonna say that earlier and I forgot to say it. I was gonna say 4 + 4 = what? 8. No, it's not. It's where is Binks from? It's not Salem. You're crazy. You are flipping. It's Binks. Boots. Oh. Hocus Pocus is Binks. My bad. You guys don't even know how to spell Salem, so don't even try it. Oh, girl, her name's Magda. Isn't that a person in Australia that someone did for Snatch Game? What's her name? Oh my god, what was her name? Maxine? No. I think it is Maxine. Down Under season 1. Was it? The fuck was her name? There's so many seasons of Drag Race. Jesus Christ. What's that? Oh, this is the island they make you do like a trial on. I think so. Someone did on Down Under Snatch Game. They did someone, and it was like someone with a cigarette, and their name was like Magda or something. Don't remember. I'll show you a distraction. These titties! Could you imagine? Spring break! It's just my nipples. I don't have boobs yet, okay? I'm upset about it just as much as you probably are. I want to go down the slide. Not yet. Yet. I just want them. Lose weight in my stomach, make them go to my boobs. This is pretty. I'm like just really interested to see how much of a difference they do in Tears of a Kingdom. Like all I know right now is the new, like, you can go and levitate, and then you can add weapons together, and then in above ground stuff and below ground stuff. It's like, what else is there? I wanna know the intricate details. Like, are there new weather patterns? Are there new great fairies? Are there new outfit colors, color dyes? Like, I want to know like the little things. Can we change Link's hairstyle as a different setting than a hat? You know, like I want to know the little things. Hello? I passed it by accident. Same. Well, I hope they also bring back traditional, like, temples and stuff like that. Goodbye. But I hope they add like traditional temples and puzzles and stuff like that, because that's kind of what I missed in this game, because they focused on shrines and not temples. We got on the slide. Whee! Imagine going sledding down this. You would literally fall into the water and die. Like in real life. You would get so much momentum, you would actually die. Let's go buy some stuff and we will kill Ganon. Zora's domain. There. I kind of wanted to get the Ganon outfit to fight Ganon. I feel like that'd be kind of cool. Oh, what if we got the Phantom attire to fight Ganon? That would actually be kind of cute. What other attires are there? There's the Royal Guard. Let's get what we need first. Hello. Hey, girl.
Yeah. Oh. Oh.
Oh.
Ah. Oh. 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 Oh.
I'm gonna literally sell everything in my inventory.
Oh. Ah. Oh. Oh.
I wonder if they'll have a sell all option or like a select option to sell stuff in the next game.
Oh. Ah. Oh. 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 Oh.
The end of an era. We sell all our items.
Oh.
We move on.
Oh. 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 Ah. Oh. 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 Ah. Oh. 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 Ah. Oh. Ah. Oh. 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 Ah. Ah. Oh. Oh.
I'm gonna look up how to get the Phantom set. Phantom armor location Breath of the Wild. Great Plateau.
Yeah. Ma. Hey. Oh. Yeah.
No. Need to get some healing items before we go fight Ganon.
Ah.
420. Hey, Slay Slay. I think there's another food shop. I thought there was. Hi, Marley. There it is right here. I love that Tragedy emote. The other day when she went BRB and came back as a grandma, so funny. I love that woman. What? The stamina? Girl, please. Where? I stumbled into the wrong place. Excuse me. What? Hello? Was she there 2 seconds ago? What happened? Okay. I'm seeing things. I'm losing my mind. I have Hinamizawa syndrome. I'm going crazy. I'm stage 5. I start clawing at my neck. If you know, you know. Where is there like a cooking thing? What is this? Oh. Girl, she's selling shrooms. Hello? Is there nowhere to cook food? You guys sell food but don't want to let me cook it? It's so bright, my god. Okay, I'm out of here if you guys are not gonna let me cook food, I guess. I'll go fuck myself. Oh my god, my back. So, what now? I swear this place had a cooking pot. I'm literally gonna go crazy. I'm gonna go cross-eyed and lose my mind. I'm hungry. My mom was a doll and got me some food today. Love her for that. Everybody's starting to be nice to me again. Hey guys, where is your cooking pot? Do you guys cook food? What? I've never been in here. All my playthroughs never been in this store. What the? I didn't know. I will take these. Thank you, sir. Can I please buy the other thing? Why can I only buy one thing? Okay. Do I have 100 bomb arrows in my inventory? I just want to cook food. Like, is that too much to ask? Oh, I know where there's one. Hold on, move. We need to go talk to the gay people. Oh! Yes. Thank you, gay people. They have a cooking pot. We won.
Hi.
Hey. Whoa, that's a lot of money. I don't have that. I'm so sorry. He's kind of cute. Hey. Twink. Wow. Oh, I would eat that shit up. That looks good as fuck. Oh, that bread looked yummy. Oh, not yummy, yummy in my tummy. Ooh. Can I cook a melon? What happens if I do this? Oh, okay. Let's see what this does. In my chef era? I'm not really that impressed. Can we cook these? What happens if we cook these? Oh, wow. Full recovery. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Okay, now we need to find the Phantom set. So it says on the Great Plateau. It is near the Outpost Ruins. Great Plateaus. It's right here. Great Plateau. Outpost Ruins. Oh, wait. Outpost Ruins right here. Oh my goodness. House music has a lot of energy. You are. You're gonna wake up Maddie for the 10th time. I kind of have I kind of have an idea for a look tomorrow, and honestly, it would be kind of funny. What if I did a double stack wig with a tiara and wore my Juicy Couture tracksuit with pink sunglasses? I think that would be so fucking funny. It's giving, like, I don't even know what that aesthetic would be. It'd just be funny. Hello, everybody. I need to find this chest. Please let me I thought that thing was getting up. I was so scared. What is that? Oh. I honestly shouldn't have done that because I should have saved that for Ganon, but it's fine. Just let it recharge. Okay, let's find this item. Oh, I'm using the wrong thing. Can I move this? Oh. Huh. I want my Goofy armor set for the final fight. Goofy from Kingdom Hearts. Oh wow. It's a really good bow for no reason. The one scene that he like almost dies. Thinking about that. Oh, hello. Girl, don't blow my cover. Ow. I want to play Kingdom Hearts 3. I don't want to play Kingdom Hearts 2. I kind of want to play that on stream soon because the Toy Story World in Kingdom Hearts 3. That's my shit. That's my... Only 4 minutes. Why can't I find this? It's at like the bottoms. I guess it's like right here. I still think it's crazy when they put Sora in Smash, they had to censor out the Disney stuff. Like, that's crazy. Hello? Kingdom Hearts lore video. The length is like 3,000 hours. Do you honestly, do you know the lore of Kingdom Hearts? Like, would you be able to explain it? Like, I don't think a lot of people can, but would you be able to, House Music? Not that I'm asking you to, but like, just curious. Why am I not finding this? Hello? Doesn't the new one like kind of get it kind of confusing? It was like kind of good, and then like the new one just messed it up. I could just be making shit up. Oh, this is where the journal is. Girl, please. This is the Coliseum. Yeah, we're good. We go here. How do I, where's the closest spot to get to this place? You know what I totally forgot? They showed us like gameplay of Kingdom Hearts 4. Do you remember that? When it was just like a random day, they just showed us Kingdom Hearts 4 and was like, yeah, we're gonna go back into the hidey hole. That was kind of sick of them. Nobody saw what just happened. Please don't clip that. One more day. What? Imagine tomorrow they were like, actually, guys, we're delaying the game 1 more month. I would literally cry. Fuck you. Oh my god, I just took out their entire bloodline.
Urbosa's fury is ready.
What are you, a horse girl? Someone help. I need to go pee pee. You're a Korok, but I'm not interested. I'm so sorry. The crickets happening right now? Crickets. I think it's at the bottom. You're sick. I need to run to the restroom really quick. I will be right back. Hello? I think I'm gonna get a bloody nose. I like smell blood so fiercely in my nose right now. It's my allergies. Okay, I'm like 100% positive it's like down here. It's like under a rock, I remember. How do you get rid of the calamity? Stealth mission. Why did he just growl? My nose. Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Whoa. The way I missed. What?
It is my pleasure.
What? Just kill me. Where is this thing? Against the wall to the northeast. Oh, I could fuck up some yogurt. I love yogurt. It's not here. It is. You don't see me, you're crazy. Okay, never eat soggy waffles. It's here, northeast. It should be here. Where is it? Girl, you need to finish that game, girl. I'm sick of hiding from you. You wanna go, buddy? You wanna go? Well, now I'm fucked. Same. I haven't like started anything besides play Star Rail, which is like, thank God I haven't, because honestly, it would drive me nuts if I did it. Oh my God, I'm about to sneeze and I don't want to sneeze. That is not northeast, that is northwest. Excuse me. Oh my God. All right, goodbye. See how easy that was when I find out the right directions? That is literally northwest. That's not northeast. So I don't know who they're trying to. There are a couple guardians that you have to deal with. Head to the tech lab. Oh, I'm actually in the right location. I just randomly teleported somewhere and it's the right spot. My mind. It's like right here or something. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Excuse me. My allergies are acting up. I guess my allergy pill wore off. Do you mind? I'll wait. I'm like one of those teachers. I'll wait. I'm John Cena. You can't see me. I think they're telling me the long location again. So gagged. Yeah, it is. I'm not sure why I can't find it. It says it's under this thing right here. Must be another one that I'm missing. Yeah, well, I'm trying to follow the instructions and this is like shit. Look down for a broken... I think it's right here. It says there's an intersection, yeah. It says southeast of the intersection. The last time it was east, it was west. So... Can you please get a job? So jobless.
It is my pleasure.
Why are they so difficult? Your goal is a little further to the southeast of the intersection. Look for a guardian near a low wall. Do I already have the pants? I feel like I already do. I do. That's so fucking stupid. LOL. I'm looking for something that we already have. Defend the armor. Sacred grounds ruins. It's right in the middle of the sacred grounds. Well, at least we know. Weren't looking for longer. My contour and highlight look really good today. I'm gonna start doing my contour and highlight like this often. Bye. Some things never change. Me getting lost trying to find an outfit. Oh my god, I just ran over a fox by accident! That noise was so sad. It's like when you accidentally step on your dog. I didn't even see that. That was actually an accident. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, well, at least I'm not gay. Hey! Thank you. Okay. Now we are prepared for the boss. Giggles. You're a gay Kirby. Yeah, we're just finishing this because people were clocking me for not finishing it originally when we played it last summer, so I'm just gonna finish it now. Okay, house music. Okay. Too far. Too far. Too far. Okay, we get rid of all of the items we're not using because this is we're moving on. Same. Going to save my GF. Whoa, where are we? Bro, get off my back. Oh, Jesus Christ. Don't you guys have anything else better to do? I'm gonna die. Oh, baby. Selfie. Taking a picture. Let me put some fuel in my bike. Just kidding, I can't. Hey guys. Let me in, please. Hey guys. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Dodges. Hey guys. Why am I not using this? Thank you. The way you can literally skip all of the fighting in this section, you can literally just go to the top with Rivali's Gale. I got my nose!
Neva's grace is ready.
Rivali's Gale is now ready.
They're just waiting. They need to put Wind Waker on the Switch.
Daruk's protection is now ready to roll.
Me skipping all of this. Wait, is that the Blood Moon rising right now? Hold on a second. Hey, whoa, wait, that's not allowed. That's not allowed! Guys, stop, stop, stop. Dodged. Hides. Hides in Daddy's foreskin. I mean, what? I didn't say anything. What are you guys talking about? Wait, stop. We turn the music up. And we get fucking wild. We get wet and wild.
Link. Link. Link.
When someone posts a shirtless selfie in their
I'm
underwear
sorry.
on Twitter and someone in the replies
My
says,
power isn't strong
Link!
enough. I can't. cold.
I've seen that so many times lately of Zelda going, Link! And the thirst trap replies, oh! Now that. I fuck him. Sorry. Listen, Ganon in the next game, Tears of a Kingdom, I would suck the life out of him. Drain his balls. In Minecraft. Hypothetically. Hey guys.
Now my moment has finally come. Brace yourself, Ganon, for the sting of my revenge.
Hot bird.
This will be our final
Queen.
opportunity. We will not fail.
Let's go, little guy. Now,
Little guy.
open up wide, Ganon.
100 years in the
Mommy,
Hold on.
fist me.
Our moment has arrived.
Oh, she snapped. Oh, she literally snapped. He's so gagged right now. He's literally so gagged. He's never been more gagged in his life. The nails? Okay. Okay, full set. Oopsie. Oopsie. Oh, that's not. Oh! He's never been more gagged in his life. Oh, I forgot about this. Okay. Oh, that's right. Gotcha. Link! Oh shit. We're out of stuff, y'all. We're out of all of our resources. Oh no, now we're actually out of our resources. Oh shit. Oh, I have to land this. Oh! Oh, I just jumped into it. Dang it! I missed it. Fuck. Urbosa, please charge faster! Help us, Urbosa! Oh my god.
Urbosa's glory is ready.
Yes! Carry. I'm not good at parrying. You're supposed to parry there, so Urbosa kind of carries that. Oh, he's leaking. Me when I... Oh, that's not. Hi, Navi. Thank you for 11 months. 3-month streak. Thanks, babe. How you doing? Are you excited for Zelda tomorrow? He crystallized. And now he's a Glamazon bitch ready for the runway. Just kidding. No, he's not. He's an ugly little bitch. Gagged. This part is so fierce with Zelda. Oof. Everything. Link!
Ganon. Ganon was born out of a dark past. He is a pure embodiment of the ancient evil that is reborn time and time again.
Me when I turn into a horse girl.
He has given up on reincarnation and assumed his pure, enraged form.
Ganon is a horse
if
girl.
set free upon our world, the destruction will be unlike anything ever seen before.
Well?
I entrust you with the bow of light, a powerful weapon in the face of evil.
The way you can just get this from the amiibos.
Link, you may not yet
Oh, the
be
music!
at the point where you have fully recovered your power, or all of your memories. But courage need not be remembered, for it is never forgotten.
Why didn't she hand me the bow of light? Like, why do I have to go into Ganon? Like, I have to walk towards him to get the bow of light. Like, girl, you could have just gave it to me. What if I didn't have any inventory space? Okay, I'm scared!
That energy covering Ganon's body is called malice. None of your attacks will get through as you nowadays. I will hold the malice back as much as I can, but my power is waning. Attack any glowing points that you see. May you be victorious. Shoot the glowing area.
I thought she meant the...
Ganon's power is weakening.
He's caked up.
Aim for a glowing area. It's working.
Not too much. Oh, that's not. Oh, that's not.
Hurry, Link!
Is the last point really on his ass? Oh no, it's right there.
We're so close!
Oh, Jesus. I know that it. Hello? What's happening? I'm scared right now. I'm.
Look up there!
Look up where? Underwear. She got me good.
The roof protection is now ready to roll.
It's the very core of Ganon's being. Do what you must, Link! Finish him, Link!
And scene. I think so, yeah. They just give you a free one. Mother. Link. Doop? Oh, the hair in the wind? You better. I mean, the wind and the hair. Same thing. Whatever. Oh my gosh, my nose. She gagged. Oh, what? Oh. Why do I not remember this? Hello? How does Tears of the Kingdom take place after this? Like, what? Destroy Ganon, complete. Girl, it's so bright, my God. Please.
I've been keeping watch over you all this time.
When I get a toga and do this look
Witnessed your
tomorrow.
struggles to return to us, as well as your trials in battle. I always thought, no, I always believed that you would find a way to defeat Ganon.
This
You never
outfit.
lost faith in
So
me for
unserious.
years. Thank you, Link,
Girl, I'm not Link.
the hero of Hyrule.
I'm the Phantom.
May I ask, do you really remember me?
Hey. What's up, guys? Am I interrupting something? Work. So now y'all can't clock me for not beating the game. I did it, guys. We did it, Joe. So many months later, I finally beat Breath of the Wild. We literally played this last summer in July. It is now June of 2023, the day before Tears of the Kingdom comes out, and I finished it. If you'd like to rewatch all of my playthrough of the game last summer, it's on YouTube. Skip. I'm Toon Link. Oh. back to the main menu, I guess. Damn. Let me in. 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 Just let me play. Like I'm pretty enough. You should just let me play. Like, come on, you guys. Like, please. Oh. Da, 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 da. So like where does Tears of the Kingdom start off? I mean, like, I guess they go underground and they find Ganon. Wow. Why would you do that? I would just leave it alone. Anyways. Dun 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 dun. Bum 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 bum. Brum brum brum. That's really loud. Hello, Hulu. I feel like Link will once again. Yeah, I'm like nervous. Hold on. I like can't believe it's tomorrow. I will be going live earlier before 12 o'clock, just so you guys know tomorrow. But if you're looking to like be in the chat tomorrow, make sure you're following or subscribed, because like today we are going to be taking precautions for no spoilers. No follower alerts are on, no bid alerts are on, no nothing is on. We are locked in for Tears of the Kingdom, so if you want to talk in chat tomorrow, I would suggest dropping a follow now or something. But I'm probably gonna end stream now just because like I want to go eat some food. I want to prep for tomorrow. I want to make sure everything is clean. So I'll see you guys tomorrow for Tears of the Kingdom. I'll be playing some games before then, and then at 12 o'clock we are gonna dive right in. So I hope to see you guys there. My allergies are killing me, so I'm gonna go take a shower and relax, and I'll see you guys tomorrow night. I'm super excited. And if you want some more Zelda, if you want more Zelda content, you can go to my channel on YouTube and look at that stuff. You can also listen to the podcast about wrestling if you want some more content from me while I'm offline. But I'll see you guys tomorrow for Tears of the Kingdom. It's crazy. I'm so excited. But I'll see you guys then. Goodbye.